having a proper place to store it where you can live in a home and not have your home turn into a record store where it looks as though you have just a collection of music, you know, and that was never the point of this. Originally, think about when I started out as a kid collecting, it's because of the love and the interest of music, and that's it from the beginning, you know. It's just over time how the collection grows.
The memory collector, the creaky feeling, it takes you in and sends you reeling. It's your being in a simple song. It's the melody so strong, they won't let you forget.
Hi, my name is Jarvie. I grew up in Los Angeles. I was born in 1951. I started collecting records, listening to music when I was a kid. I started playing piano when I was 7 years old, and I became a concert pianist by the time I was 12 years old. And I began collecting rock and roll about the age of 13, around 1964, when the Beatles became popular in America after the Ed Sullivan shows. And then you have A Hard Day's Night, and I'm a teenager, you know, beginning to listen to music like that. So during that time, I was playing classical music. Also, I was buying rock and roll records on a limited salary budget, you know, from my allowance. So back then, records could be bought for $2 and $3 for an album. Most people were buying 45s for about 50 cents a piece. So it was easy to go out and buy your favorite record, listening to the local radio stations and buying a 45, or maybe saving up to buy an album for a few dollars. And that's how I started out in the record collecting hobby. And I've been collecting now for almost 50 years. Obviously, the value of this record is considerably higher. It's a perfect copy of a mono. This is rare because of the sticker. You don't find many copies of that same record introducing the Beatles, advertising the singles Twist and Shout and Please Please Me. I started out collecting records, 45s and albums back in the early 60s, and as time went along, that was principally what my guide was until the late 80s when CDs came out. So when the CDs came out, that changed record collecting, I feel, because it brought CDs to the forefront and it kind of pushed record collecting to the back. Although there always were record collectors, some people I knew who wouldn't even buy a CD because they felt they didn't want to hear that digital format. And as time went along, I decided around 1989-90 that I would start listening to CDs. So I was still buying albums, and then I was starting to buy CDs about that time. Today, probably 2/3 of my collection are albums, and maybe 1/3 of my collection are CDs. There are probably, and this is just a rough estimate, around 8,000 pieces plus in the collection. So I would say a conservative estimate would be 6,000, probably more accurately 8,000. That would include albums and CDs in the collection. And this collection runs, like I say, from A to Z. It covers classical music, rock and roll, jazz, rhythm and blues, hip hop, electronica, and pretty much all the phases of music that have come and gone in the past 40 to 50 years. A very difficult record to find. This is a time when in rock and roll history you could not have a black man pictured on the album cover. So this man's name was Bull Moose Jackson, and they put a moose because that was his nickname, and this record books for around $600. I found this in a used record store bin. They obviously didn't know what it was. This was sold at Amoeba for $13. Book value $600. I've wound down my collecting days, so I collect very little today. One of the things is capacity and storage. I have to put the collection in different locations because it's too big to be in my house. So I have places where I have music I listen to, but it's small quantities of the collection. And there's certain favorites of mine, pieces I'll hear repeatedly, so I'll play those pieces and I'll keep them with me in my home. And then there are other pieces that I don't listen to anymore, and they can be in storage and they can go away, you know. They're of course all parts of the collection, but the collection grew too big to keep in one room, in 2 rooms, in 3 rooms, you know. It grew beyond belief. At this point, it would be difficult for me to put a price figure on the collection. I'd be able to show you individual pieces that you can get a guesstimate from, and I would say that a bulk of the collection, possibly 10–20% of the collection, individual records that have values of $100 and up to $1,000 for one piece, and CDs that of course over time range anywhere from $5 in retail stores up to hundreds of dollars. This is an original Butcher cover. The slick was never attached. This is a first state mono butcher. This is a perfect copy. Considered among Beatle collectors as one of the more collectible records you can find. The value of this record probably ranges from $2,000 to $4,000 in this condition. So it's difficult for me, because I've never sat down and computerized or cataloged the collection, to say this is its actual value. It means more to me as a memory and the past and thinking about the times when I collected than the value of the collection itself.
Flowing wild at a county fair, I'd ride on the Himalaya.
Would I ever sell the collection piecemeal? And I think no. Would I ever sell the collection as a total collection? I would rather see it can be kept together, and if it was to transfer to somebody, it would go to somebody I know, or somebody that would really be able to keep it together and appreciate the music and want to hold it together principally as a rock and roll collection. So there could come a time when I'd want to find a collector who was interested in buying the collection and buy it in a whole piece.